Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And what else can I say? Superman is gay. What else could it be? More pandering from DC. Okay, I've tortured you enough. Yes, I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, and it is the open mic night. And here to open him up now is Mike. No, we're not going to open Mike. This is not the autopsy stream. But oh man, we skipped last week because I was just beaten, and it's like I was like, do I really want to do it tonight too? Because I just got off the road driving 6 hours and
well, I think we've been off for 2 straight weeks here. I think.
Well, it would have been 2 straight weeks if I missed this one. We only skipped the last one, but
Okay.
we are
like 2 weeks.
we're minus a stooge tonight. James Lee has got a promotion at work that gives him better pay, and in return, all they ask is that he works Sunday nights. So I hope it's well. I know it was a really good increase, and I would have taken the same offer. So we shall miss him, but we shall continue to hope he shows up in chats throughout the week and say hi and talk about the Steins and the progress on that. But man, what a week it's been, and we've already got people hanging out in the chat there. We got Captain Deckard Spot. I never know what his middle name's going to be. It's always changing. But
I don't get the Jan. I'm sorry, RJ. Do you know what those emocrons mean? Because I hardly ever know what the emocrons mean usually.
You know what? They're so tiny. It looks like 2 hands going like this.
There's a pair of hands, and then I know the smiley face usually.
The smiley face, yeah.
Yeah, but
maybe it's just like, hey, just cheering on. So we'll go with that. Oh wait, it looks different. It looks different over here than maybe it's one of these. Hey, here's a we love your show.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a Mandy. Mandy does that. She does it way better than I do.
Mandy, who's Mandy?
You do not know the joy of comics, which is Mandy Summers. You have been missing.
Oh, I think I've seen the name before. I just never really.
You need to watch some of her streams, and she actually puts out some really good comics too. She teams up with some really good artists. It's. Let's see. I got Pirate Queen. I'm ordering the Jack the Ripper Vampire Killer book.
I actually have been starting to watch some of like Dory streams a bit.
Dory's also fun to watch. Dory Jones, Labors of Love.
Yeah.
She's doing.
Well, she had last time we were together. I think she ended up subscribing to me, so I just subbed her right back. So
always got to do that. We also have William Quinton in the chat hanging out. Send out some thank you messages for today's backers on the campaign. It's been cool. Well, good. Yeah, send those thank you messages out and then send the comics out because that's what they really want. We've been doing that, and I just got word today that one of the campaigns I've been kind of sitting on because we didn't have the books. We had the it's Angel's Awakening. I'm sorry, I keep saying Angela for some reason. Angel's Awakening. We've got the posters. We've got the bags. We've got the trading cards. We have everything. We've got everything we need to send it out except the books themselves. And I just got email earlier today that all three covers are being shipped on their way to me now, so we should have them this week. So if you're a backer of Angels Awakening, Critical Blast Logistic will be packaging that all up and getting it out.
Actually, you just remind me of something too. The one stream that I did watch of Dory's this past week was actually an unboxing of sorts of, I guess, some of the comics she ordered through you.
One of them was, yes.
Yeah.
She opened 3, but one of them was from us.
Yeah. Well, I think she actually, she had an unboxing on the stream. Pops was there, and then Chris and Diane also joined the stream there as well. And then there was this other guy, I guess, who's living over in England.
Oh yeah, Rich. Yeah, Rich Parada. Yeah, all good people there.
I've also subbed to Pops as well, so I've tried to catch some of his streams too. But a lot of times when he's streaming, it's either he's streaming. At times some of his streams are like in direct competition to yours.
Oh yeah,
or at the time, and it's usually around like 4 or 5 o'clock my time when I'm usually doing my prep work, for my stream at 7 here on
yeah, because you can't just like my stream. I'm fly by the seat of the pants. It's like, oh, we have a stream in about 5 minutes. What are we going to talk about? Well, if it's an interview, I don't have to know. Just like, well, where's the Indiegogo? Throw it up on the screen. Jump into it and say, hey, you have a comic book. What's it about? And it just goes from there.
Of course, with my streams, though, a lot of it's more like dishing out information. So, Monday to Thursday, of course, it's a newscast. So I'm having to look up stories to like kind of read through and talk about. And then on Friday, of course, it's the historical comic retrospect. And
every one of your shows takes prep.
Yeah.
And lots of it.
Yeah, because obviously I want to get the information out there. I want it to be as accurate as possible. And I guess right now would be a good time to mention this because we just talked about it just before we went on the air. This Friday, and we can probably promote it again later as well. This Friday, I've my normal co-host is going to be unavailable this Friday. Batgoat will be unavailable. So I've asked RJ to join me this Friday for the historical comic retrospect, and he has been kind enough to accept the offer.
and I accept it. So, you asked me on your shows, folks, I'm going to be there. So be sure that, you really want that because you might get what you ask for. Yeah, it's gonna be fun going over the old comics, and you actually do like the read out louds too. So I'll get to do voices and all kinds of fun stuff.
Well, you'll be hearing me do the voices at least. Yeah.
Exactly, but you and Batgoat would always take a character.
Well, no, usually Batgoat. Usually I'd be the only one reading.
Well, I'm taking a character.
Okay. Well, okay. You want to join in on the reading?
Well, of course, of course.
Well, I mean. Because here's the thing, will you? Because I'll be feeding it through. Will you be able to read it though as we're reading? Because,
you've got it on the screen. I'll be able to read it. I'll go full screen if I got to, just like I just did now, and you can't even tell. But, not a problem reading it.
Okay, because the thing is, usually I do all the characters myself, and I do the different voices and stuff. Just
if you want to do them all, that's fine, man. But I'll be hard to hold back. Reading comics out loud. Come on, that's.
I mean, it's just something I had not done before having the other people because it's like, I'm not. If you want to do it. If you want to figure out what character you, I guess we can go over what.
We'll figure it out when it's up there. But you could make that like part of the show going forward with like Batgoat or whoever else you have on there.
Well, yeah. Well, normally Batgoat just lets me do it. That's why he
needs pushed.
Batgoat contributes to the show in other ways. Like I said, even though he doesn't have the comics side of the knowledge. He brings in other stuff. He's into history. He's into military history. He's into
Yeah, I was going to say his
aviation
military
history.
knowledge of the machines they use has been
Right.
an interesting perspective.
He's a former Navy corpsman. He's a former paramedic. So he's got a wealth of, and a lot of times when we talk about numbers, when we see numbers come up, like when they talk about, sending in $1 to the company or whatever for certain things,
Right.
or one of the things he also utilizes an inflation calculator to compare like what the price was back then to what it would be to today.
Oh yeah.
He does that. So I mean we'll figure I guess we'll figure it out once we get to that point. But I guess since we're already talking about, should I wait to go over what I went through this last Friday and
No,
or can we do it right now?
We're already there. We don't have to circle back around. We can just get it out of the way now.
All right.
There's nothing to get out of the way. We have no plan.
Right. Okay. Well, I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to talk about that was a more pressing matter to you. But,
everything.
Okay. So
Superman's not going to get any less gay.
Right. Okay. So this past Friday, what I covered is I covered comics that went on sale from June of 1938 from Dell Comics and what at this point in June of 38 is known as Centaur. So we kind of quickly went over Mammoth Comics #1, Little Giant Comics #1, and Little Giant movie features. I talked a little bit about how Little Giant Comics and Little Giant movie features were only had only published 4 and 2 issues respectively, and I'll talk a little bit more about Centaur in a moment. And then we actually did a read through of Amazing Mystery Funnies #1, where I read 3 stories, including 2 from probably who's probably considered one of the first Armenian American comic book creators, Arthur Panagio. We read.
He's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. So the stories we read were Tyrant's Gold and Dragon Pass. Tyrant's Gold featuring Dick Kent, and then they were actually reprints from earlier stories that had been published in Tyrant's Gold, I think, was from Funny Pictures Stories, Volume 2, number 3, I believe, and then Dragon Pass, featuring Phantom of the Hills, was published in Western Picture Stories, I think number 3 or number 4, or something like that. Arthur Panagio, one of the thing he was probably most famous for is when he went to work for Quality Comics. He actually created the characters Madame Fatal and Invisible Hood. So,
man, we had some great character names. It was just like, it was almost like they were pulling them out of a bag.
Madame Fatal. Madame Fatal was an interesting character. Some people would argue that Madame Fatal may have been one of the first LGBT characters. Okay. I'll explain. Well, I'll explain a little bit.
Okay.
Madame Fatal was a transvestite, basically. Okay, but this is basically what happened. So Madame Fatal, whose real name was Richard Spencer, his family was killed. His family, I guess he was a secret agent. His family was killed.
Wait, I'm still kind of reeling from the irony that his name was Richard Spencer, because you know who Richard Spencer is in current day.
No, I don't.
He's a literal white supremacist Nazi. Not the you're a Nazi because I disagree with you, but an actual I am.
It's like David Duke.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, no, I think his name, if I remember correctly, I think his name was actually Richard Spencer in it, but again, but Richard Spencer's a pretty common name too.
Yeah.
But anyways, going on with the so he's a secret agent. His family was killed. So to get revenge on on the people. He took on the guise of kind of like an old English woman, kind of a granny looking woman,
Oh,
glasses.
Mrs. Doubtfire did.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. Mrs. Doubtfire kind of look, and of course would beat him up with like loaded purses and all that. So that was Madame Fatal, and then Invisible Hood. That one should be a little more familiar. Invisible Hood was actually one of the characters that DC bought up from Quality when they built. That was Kent Thurston, and he was, I guess, a friend or something of an inventor who had created this cloak that could make its wearer invisible, basically. And so the inventor of that cloak was killed during a robbery attempt to
Always hard.
get, and so Thurston took the cloak and became the Invisible Hood, also known as Hooded Justice or an Invisible Justice. So, but those two characters are created by Arthur Panagio, who I believe was one of the first Armenian American comic book creators back in the 30s. There, he had migrated to America in the, I think, late 1910s. He and his parents had said, according to the wiki article I had read, he and his parents had survived the Armenian genocide of 1915. And then he came to America and eventually became a pulp and comic book writer. But one of the other points too, as I want to move on here a little bit to some other interesting things I found out, what we had talked about during, is just the growth, throughout the spring and summer of 1938, the growth of the comic book industry. I know I mentioned this before back when we were talking about some of it, so at the end of 1937, right, you had 7 comic book creators publishing 16 monthly titles.
Yeah.
By June of 1938, those same 7 companies, in 6 months' time, those same 7 companies went from publishing 16 monthly regular books to 24. And Centaur in particular, now Centaur Comics formerly was Ultem Publications, and originally it was known as Comics Magazine Company. They started out as Comics Magazine Company in 1936. They, of course, one of the first books they published was Comics Magazine #1, which eventually became Funny Pages. That was the book where they had the lone Doctor Occult story. They started there, where they called him Dr. Mystic, and then continued him in DC. Throughout 36, it was Comics Magazine Company, then Ultim Publications bought them out, and then Centaur Publications, which was a pulp magazine company, bought Ultim out and started publishing books. They had doubled their production. They were the most prolific through the end of 37. They were the most prolific comic book creator with four titles. DC was still only publishing 3 at the end of DC, along with Dell and David McKay, were publishing 3 each.
Yeah.
And
now,
then
when you're looking up title numbers, have you ever delved into what the circulation of those titles was?
No, I wouldn't even know where to begin on that. I just look at the number of titles. I mean, I can tell certain things that, like, where maybe they weren't, like for example, okay. So one of the points I was trying to make here was that Centaur had doubled its publication. They had gone from 4 titles to 8 titles, but by the end of 38, as I looked ahead a little bit, they'd be back down to 6, because the 2 Little Giant titles, Little Giant Comics and Little Giant Movie Features, would only publish 4 and 2 titles each, as they both were basically like Little Giant Comics, which had published 4 books, right? The cover date of issue 4 was February of 39, but it went on sale in December of 38. So basically, those 2 titles were both complete, and then Little Giant #2, movie features #2, went on sale. I think it was in October or something, and had a November. It was either October, November, or September, October was the on sale date. And then, of course, one of the other titles, The Comics, which was another Dell title. Initially, even though it would still be considered a monthly title, it was still sporadic.
Yeah.
Like particularly towards the end, it's like I think issue #10, which we'll be covering the next time I hit Dell, which will be in a couple weeks here. We'll be reading through that because it's issue #10, and then so that one went on sale in like July, with probably a cover date, I believe, of August or September, and then the comics #11, I believe, had a on sale date of February or something like that. So, so some of these titles would have like be a bit more sporadic. Some of them would be like that was Dell though, but
Well, a lot of them weren't being treated very seriously yet because it was still just it was throwaway material. It's like we need to use it, get it printed cheaply, and once they started realizing they were selling millions of copies of these things.
Well, yeah, I mean,
adding up.
Yes, I mean, I can tell you during the spring and summer of '38, there was some significant growth going on here. At the end of '37, as I said, there were 7 titles or 7 companies that were publishing 16 titles. At the time, Ultem, which eventually became Centaur, was publishing 4 titles. DC, Dell, and David McKay. David McKay was a publishing company that was publishing books that were doing a lot of the King Feature Syndicate reprints, Popeye, Flash Gordon, all that. Those 3 were doing 3 books. And then the other 3 that were active were doing 1 book each, which were Eastern Color with Famous Funnies, United Features with Tip Top Comics, and Quality Comics with Feature Funnies. Okay. By June of '38, Centaur, as I said, it doubled their title. Doubled their production. They were at that point publishing 8 monthly titles. Dell had gone from 3 to 5. DC had gone from 3 to 4 with Action Comics. United Features had added another title with Comics on Parade. And then you still had Eastern Color and Quality still publishing 1 book each. And a little heads up here, because we're going to be hitting this in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Another company would come into fruition in July of '38. Fiction House. They will be debuting Jumbo Comics #1 going on sale in July of '38, and of course the big name that most people would remember out of that comic, Sheena, Queen of the Jungle.
Yes.
I will be covering that November 12th.
There were a lot of publishers, and there were a lot of copies. Everyone was reading these things. People were getting rich on it, and they didn't have to have a big staff to pay these people because God knows they only paid like $100 and something for Superman to get the rights to that. So it was like free money. I mean, if you just sold 1 million of these things,
mm-hmm.
that's 10 cents a piece. Consider that they were getting like a 40% markup at the grocery store, so that's like 6 cents a piece. That's $60,000 they were getting off each book, which in 1938 dollars, that's like Malcolm Wheeler was a big wheel. George.
And I covered this a few weeks ago. By this point, Wheeler was gone. By June of '38, Wheeler was gone.
Oh, he was gone early then.
He was gone more or less. I think at the latest, maybe February of '38. But I'd already talked about that. I talked about that like obviously a couple months ago when we were there.
Did he not come back though? Because I thought he was like a big player for a long time.
Well, no. They, according to what I had read, once he left DC, he went back to basically he went back to just doing a lot of political and military commentary. He had got out of the. I mean, like throughout the next couple of months, March and April, like some of the stories he was still in. Some of his stories were still being printed after he got. Some of them that were already finished, they were including some of them, but he was more or less gone by February of '38. So
I sure.
But I mean, yeah,
it must have had a bigger impact than what I guessed for.
I mean,
remembered after that.
Well, also with this as well. You're also, in terms of content, you're starting. Now part of this is, of course, because of Superman and its success, but in terms of content, you're seeing a change too. Because initially, when the comic book started, most of them, I think DC was the first one to do this, and the comics magazine company followed suit. But for the most part, earlier on, most of the comic books, and it's still the same with where we're at now in June of '38. They were still doing newspaper. A lot of the comics were still doing. They were still heavy on the newspaper reprints. They were reprinting.
Oh yeah.
In fact, that's what Mammoth Comics #1 was. It was a reprint of the reprints that Dell had previously published.
You didn't have to pay anything for it.
Mammoth Comics #1 was kind of an annual style comic book where it was a reprint, where they were reprinting reprints that they had previously published. It's a reprint of reprints. It's like, but you were starting to see, with Superman and the success he was having, and as you were starting to see more and more original stories people start putting in more and more original stories, not reprints. A lot more of these, like Fiction House, I believe, in fact, when they started up in July, they were another company. They had become the third. So at this point, you had DC, Centaur. DC and Centaur were the two companies where they were primarily doing original material. Everything was more or less original material. Now, other companies like Dell were starting to put more and more original material in their books, but it was still kind of a mix of original and reprint. But you're starting to see as comic books become, with where we're at in June of '38, as comic books are starting to become more and more popular, as stories like Superman are starting to become more and more successful. You're starting to also see them starting to go away a little bit from now. Granted, wouldn't go away completely for another 20 years. You'd have some comics books that were still producing or publishing reprints up well into the 50s. Okay, so don't get me wrong on that side of it, but you were starting to see it kind of start where it was almost all reprints to kind of more of a balance between reprints and original material. You're starting to see that here in June of '38. Of course, when you join me for co-hosting duties, you'll probably see some of that too. Maybe not as much because we'll be looking just at quality comics, but.
And the link to that channel, by the way, folks, is right in the description below. So if you want to find out what's going on the mic stand every Friday, when this gets a lot more focused on the single issue. Right now, we're getting the broad, sweeping picture. Definitely follow through, click on that, and subscribe, and be there while we go over some of the old comics on Friday.
Yeah, and I know George popped into one of my streams, albeit I think it was probably not the best stream for a first time because it was one of those one-off streams where I was like, it was the one where I was reading the story I had wrote, and he kind of popped in for a little bit there, and then I guess left.
Oh yeah, there was so much drama. It was unbelievable.
It was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Well, you know what made Superman so popular, though, in the Golden Age? Why people were clamoring for more and more? It was that second issue where he, went on strike for, he was carrying that sign down the railroad tracks. What was he striking?
No, that wasn't back then.
Sure it was. Yeah,
No, the second Action Comics #2. That was not. Superman was not striking. Superman, Action Comics #2 was a story. Superman story was actually a continuation of Action Comics #1. The Superman stories from Action Comics #1 and 2 were essentially started out as one story. They originally were going to be a newspaper story, but they had to recut and reprint it to turn it into comic book format. The titles of it was Superman Champion of the Oppressed and then Warren San Monte.
No.
Yes.
I've got proof. I've got proof, man. I've got proof.
What you're talking about is that BS that we were just seeing seeing this past week where Jonathan that's not from Action Comics #2.
Surely though. Surely DC is just repeating successes.
No. What planet are you on, RJ?
What
planet are you on? Are you on the planet Woke? Are you taking a tour of the planet Woke?
Hey, that artwork seems legit from 1938.
I mean, surely the Golden Age Superman must have gone on strike for better working wages for well we weren't at war, were we?
No.
Yeah. He went on strike for better wages for guys.
Superman is different from the. I will admit this: the Golden Age Superman was different from the Superman that we grew up on, the Silver Age Superman, the Superman of Earth 1. Earth 2 Superman was different, but not in the way that the SJWs are thinking of it. Okay?
Well, he fought for men's rights to have more wages and more voting power.
You guys really need to watch. You guys really need to go back and watch my two of my more recent DC coverage. That's modern day BS right there. That is modern day BS. That's a woke wet dream right there. Okay, that right there is the woke wet dream. Okay,
they're just carrying signs that say buy indie comics and boycott Gorton's and let's go Brandon.
yeah, let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon.
I think this guy back here.
I know you guys are kidding me, but this is so friggin'.
Hey, this guy it says diversity hire. These are I'd buy this book.
Yeah, and that's another, and I was even talking about it with you a few minutes ago, RJ. They talk about this whole idea of diversity and hiring diverse. I was just telling you about probably one of the first Armenian American comic book creators, Arthur Panagio. We were just talking about him. He was the guy who created two of Quality's characters, Madame Fatal and Invisible Hood. Now, I'm not gonna repeat everything because if people want to go back and hear what we were talking about with him, they can always rewatch this and go back to that. But yeah, I read a couple of his stories, Tyrant's Gold featuring Dick Kent and Dragon Pass featuring Phantom of the Hills. Those are some pretty good stories. You had a jungle adventure and a western adventure. Then in between those, from what I read last Friday, was another story called Mastermind, which was a detective mystery. So basically, we had this past Friday in my coverage, of course, we read three very distinctly different genres there in terms of the jungle adventure. And somebody else just commented on something like James Hayes had commented right there. Yeah, Warren Selma, a war story where Superman forces a corrupt munitions expert to join the army, and Lois is framed for spy. Yeah, exactly, James. That's exactly what that was, and it was kind of a continuation of the first story, Champion of the Oppressed. And the way he kind of it's kind of funny because the way he handled that situation would be a far cry from what many of us who grew up with the Silver Age Superman, with Superman who was on in the comics of the 60s and 70s, who watched him on shows like Filmation, Justice League cartoons, or Super Friends. He was even the post-crisis style cartoons of the late 80s, early 90s with the Ruby Spears Superman of '88 and the DCAU.
Do you know why the comic books are sized and formatted the specific size that they are today currently?
I have no idea. I would assumed it was to save paper.
No. It's originally the comic books were reprints of the newspaper strips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The full page newspaper strips. When you take a full page back then, when you take a full page and fold it, I think it was 4 ways or 6 ways. I forgot the exact fold ratio. You end up with the size of the comic book,
a Golden Age book.
Yeah.
So they literally took the printed sheets, the excess printed sheets, folded them up, and made them into books and sold them.
That's being cheap, but you know what? They were making money.
Yeah.
For what? How much of an investment? Almost nothing.
Well, yeah. I mean, remember, comic books back in 1938 were like 10 cents.
Oh,
they were a dime. You compare that to today, comic books today are like, I think some of the numbers I've seen, comic books today are like what, just under $6?
$6. Some of them $7. DC's at 6 and 7, depending on whether or not you get the cardboard cover variant or not. We're 3 years out from $10 comics, and we're already there, I think, with some of the Black Label stuff that's out.
Yeah. But as I was saying, though, Superman, as depicted back in the 30s, is a far cry from what we grew up on, later in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Because, like in the story that James had described for us right there, that we were just talking about Warren. So yes, how he ended up forcing that munitions, that corrupt munitions manufacturer into the army. He literally kidnapped him. Told him that if he wasn't on a particular boat leading to San Monte when it left, he was going to make his life a literal hell. He then, to make sure he doesn't desert the army, he also joins the army to make sure he doesn't desert.
And then he deserts later because he's got to go back to being Superman.
Well, yeah, and he did. But I think one of the key points of the story that I thought was like real funny was at one point, Superman asked him, well, why do you sell munitions? Why do you sell armaments and all that? And the munition, and his name was Emil Norville, I believe was the guy's name, the munitions manufacturer name. He says, because people are cheap and munitions are expensive. And then right after he says that, dude is like scared, poopless, basically. As they show him, I don't want to be killed. It's kind of like Superman's point was, yeah, it's not so fun when you're the one who's getting shot by these things, is it? That was Superman's point.
So sell them to our army. That was.
Yeah. I'm going to turn on my light here, so I'm going to just step.
Okay. Get you some light.
Maybe I should just turn off my camera for a moment, then that way you guys don't have to see.
George, I was on your stream last night and happy to be there. We got to watch The Ghost in the Invisible Bikini. How often are you doing those things?
Every Friday night and Saturday night at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
I know it's more than once a week now because it seems like I'm getting alerts all the time.
Oh, no. It's alerts that you get is when I post the links that's for the Friday and Saturday shows.
But so I would. How did you settle on that movie? Because I would not have thought that a 1966 film would have fallen into public domain.
Trial and error. I keep hunting down movies that you say, oh, that's not even possible, and then I go through the rigorous test of uploading it to YouTube. If I get a copyright strike, a complete copyright strike, or no, complete copyright claim.
I'll be right back.
If I get a complete copyright claim, then I would abandon it. But if I get a partial copyright claim, I would see where the copyright claim is, and then find a creative way of adjusting it. Usually, it's in the audio, not the video.
Yeah.
And then I would strip out the audio and replace it with new public domain audio. Re-upload it. And if I get another copyright claim, I would hunt that down and keep doing the process until I get 100% clear. It usually takes about a week.
James, I think you mistyped there, because I don't think any issue of Action Comics ever sold for 2 cents per issue. I think there were 10 cents per issue.
Yeah, 10 cents.
Yeah, the cheapest comic that was ever out there was a nickel, and it was appropriately called Nickel Comics. But everything else started at 10 cents in the industry.
Yeah.
But that was a fun movie, and I got the.
That was literally a live action version of Scooby Doo without Scooby.
It absolutely was. I mean, if a dog had run through there,
I know. I go, that would be freaking awesome.
And I would love to talk with the folks who created Scooby and say, hey, the ghost in the invisible bikini. Any influence here? Because dudes, it's like even some of the appearance of the characters.
I know.
Especially the girl early on. That was Daphne in Velma's orange sweater, and that was Fred in Shaggy's clothes.
Oh yeah, and they did the running around in the hallway. They did that whole gag. They did the gag with the mask. Damn you kids, pesky kids scenario.
Yeah, and
everything.
Handing something to the guy behind them.
Yeah.
It was every Scooby trope you could think of in a movie that came out 3 years before the first Scooby-Doo cartoon.
And it had Eric Von Zipper come on, Eric Von Zipper.
A Beach Blanket Bingo game out of fame, and all the other beach movies that were out.
Oh yeah, what a great movie! What a great movie!
It watched almost like like they had this movie, and then there's not enough movie here. Well, let's put a framework around it with Boris Karloff.
Yep.
And it's like, oh yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, just to see Boris Karloff, on screen, it's absolutely beautiful. And Basil, oh my God. Basil Rathbone. I mean, you can. Yeah, I'm going like, wait a minute. You went from Sherlock Holmes to this.
And went off with that guy that looked like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
that's some fourth wall breaking funny stuff there.
Yeah, it is. That really cracked me up.
And Boris really reminded me of Alan Napier in the way he played that role.
That's right. Yeah. Alan Napier really did play, a sly Boris. I never thought of it that way.
It was fun, but
because every time he would talk to Bruce Wayne or Batman, he would have that soft, clever dialogue, and the way he carries it.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember Alan Napier playing Alfred, I think?
Yeah, when Alan Napier played Alfred, but we were talking about how Boris Karloff it was evocative of Alan Napier, and they were out at the same time. That was a 1966 movie, so
yeah, it was.
The Batman vibe was in full swing. Batmania was ruling.
Yeah.
Hey, Dory, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dory. Yeah, I was just about to mention she was saying hi to us.
I've discovered, I don't know, hundreds of I've been scouring YouTube for movies, but the majority of them, they're all definitely under copyright. And my assumption, my opinion, is that a lot of these movies that you find, public domain full movie, and you see it like 2000, 2010s, 1990, 1980, and all that stuff. I think those are corporate accounts, because there's no fucking way
No.
you upload that movie and then all of a sudden it says no one is ever gonna see this.
I found on archive.org, which is supposed to be the public domain site.
Yeah.
Somebody had uploaded the complete pilot for the Wonder Woman series that didn't come out back when it was going to be a WB show. And we started putting it on the stream, and they killed the stream because of copyright. I'm like, well, I guess it's not public domain after all.
Yeah, somebody uploaded, but the archive didn't go through the process of confirming that just yet. When you got it.
I did, download it and watch the whole thing, and boy, we dodged a bullet on that one. And yet, it was still better than Wonder Woman '84.
Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Actually, what's kind of interesting too, the cable channel Decades this weekend has been doing basically what they call a binge or a marathon of the 1970s Wonder Woman TV series, with
also very good.
I got the box set of all 3 seasons. It's just beautiful.
And that was one of those shows where it's like it survived because they realized the first season they couldn't keep doing. So the second season was almost a reboot.
It's like they took her from World War II and moved her into the 1970s.
Into the 1970s, and she's dating her old lover's grandson.
Yeah.
Because the Steve Trevor's like, Steve Trevor? Oh, yeah, my grandpa was in, World War II.
and one of the things I was noticing some of the titles too, like I think that first season they were adjusting a lot of the Golden Age stories, because the second story was Wonder Woman meets Baroness Paula von Gunther.
Oh yeah, there
was another one where Wonder Woman versus Gargantua, and basically Gargantua, and I don't know why they did. It may have been for copyright reasons or whatever, or some kind of embargo thing or whatever. But Gargantua was what the TV show called what was known as Giganta in the comics.
Yeah,
Giganta was basically the gorilla who was somehow which
by the way, the same gorilla.
Common theme back in the Golden Age. And we will be talking quite a bit about that, because one of the stories I'll probably be getting to in a few months here is, of course, one of the other Tex Thompson stories will be Dr. Kachung's Army, where they did that. But that was a common theme back in the Golden Age too. The idea of like transplanting a human brain into a gorilla.
The ultra human. Yeah. But yeah, so that was the same gorilla in Wonder Woman that we saw in Ghost in the Invisible Bikini last night.
Yeah, also trading places and a whole lot. It's unbelievable.
That gorilla got around.
Yeah, that gorilla in the 60s and 70s, that gorilla got around.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of 1966 and the 1970s Wonder Woman, Lyle Wagner, of course, was her boyfriend on the show, Steve Trevor, but he almost had another role.
Yeah, Green Hornet.
No.
Oh, Batman.
Batman, yes.
Yeah, but he became the voice. He became the voice. He didn't get the role. Yeah, he's the narrator.
I thought that was William Dozier doing the narrating, but
no, look it up. I believe it's him.
I'll look it up because I've seen the audition reels where Lyle Wagner is in the 1966 Batman costume.
Oh, geez, I'd love to see that. Shit.
So you're saying that Lyle Wagner was the one who did the narration for the 66 Batman?
Yeah. What will the paper trader do this?
Well, I'm looking up IMDb right now here, so we'll see for. But I actually don't think that was.
No, it was William Dozier.
It was.
Yep, I just looked up Batman 66 narrator, and it's William Dozier.
But I could have swore I got it. Maybe was it the Green Hornet then?
He might have. Let me see. Lyle Wagner narrator. Oh, he did the Return to the Batcave, The Misadventures of Adam West and Bert. He was the narrator.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of then. Yes.
Yeah, so he stepped in for that. I'm going to open up some pictures here. And share them over.
Holy smokes. Look at that.
Yeah, I don't know who Robin is in that one.
That looks like an Alex Ross painting right there.
Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah, Lyle Wagner in 2003. He was the narrator in that. I just saw that on IMDb there.
Gee whiz.
Here he is with the mask pulled up. He's Bruce Wayne. He's maskless Batman, and he's masked Batman there.
Yeah, I still prefer Adam West. But this is close. This is close.
Well,
second.
Adam West would have quite a connection with DC throughout his career. Aside from, of course, doing the live-action Batman series, he also provided Batman's voice in Galactic Guardians, I believe, the Super Friends cartoon Galactic Guardians. And then he came back in the 90s and voiced the Great Ghost in an episode of Batman the Animated Series for the DCAU.
Oh yeah, Adam West did. Yeah, I thought that was a fantastic use of the character. I thought that a criminal mistake was made with Batman '89, the Tim Burton film, of course.
Adam West should have been the father.
Adam West should have been Thomas Wayne. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely should have been.
Yeah. That would have nailed it. That oh my God, the geek cred on that would go through the roof.
Yeah, he missed the boat on that. Interestingly enough, the second film, you remember the guy who played the father for the Penguin?
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman. Why I say that's interesting is if you've watched Gotham.
Yeah, it's like he reprised his role.
He played the father of the Penguin.
That was fucking awesome.
Can you do something else?
Yeah.
Well, Paul Rubin did have, of course, Pee Wee's Playhouse in the 80s there.
Yes, he did, until he went to another playhouse with his Pee Wee. Although he owned it spectacularly. I mean, when he made his comeback and he got to host some show, he got, just like present an award, he just steps out on the stage with a microphone, just looks out and is like, so, heard any good jokes lately? Because everybody was making Pee Wee Herman jokes, and he just like, yep, I did it.
I'm surprised that his theme song never became Won't You Play With My Ding-a-ling?
Oh, well, I think that's because Eddie
That'd
Murphy.
be too obvious.
Yeah, way too obvious.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
by
about, right?
the way, the Captain America serial that we're going to be showing this week coming up.
Yes.
Part 1 of 2. Dominic Purcell, or no, forgot his the actor. Forgot his first name. Purcell. He died a couple of weeks after he finished shooting the serial. Yeah, and it's speculated that the stress of making Captain America was too much on his heart. And the one thing about Captain America is that the entire 15-episode series was the most elaborate series ever produced at that time, and there was no more produced of that elaborate complexity in fight scenes and all, and location shots and what we call stunts and gags and stuff like that. And
Well, I mean, in the comics, Captain America was a super soldier.
no, they loosely based him on the comics, but this was nowhere near in the comic other than the title.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Steve Rogers.
yeah, and the thing is, the next time Marvel did a live action hero would be many decades later with Spider-Man in the Electric Company.
Oh, you're counting that? Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to jump to Nicholas Hammond, but
But
well, they did it in the late 70s. They also had the live action Incredible Hulk series too with Bill Bixby and Luke.
That was well after the Electric Company, though.
Yeah, that's well after the Electric Company.
But
and the Electric Company Spider-Man was very fucking accurate, man.
Well, he did have a great costume. Yeah, it was, and they were very smart in not letting him talk. He always was like, whoop.
Yep.
Whoop.
Yep. but it was like it was amazing, absolutely amazing. So I took all 15 episodes, chopped it up into 2 super 1 hour and 40-minute. I cut out all the excess, cleaned it up.
Oh yeah, because otherwise you'd watch the cliffhanger 3 times in a row if you had to just put them together.
Yeah, and I cleaned it up. I did a nice cleanup on it. I think this is probably the best presentation of the Captain America series.
Dude, it's public domain. You've cleaned it up. You put all that work into it. After you show it, you really should put them on discs, and just sell them.
Yeah, that's possible. That's very possible.
Because the cleanup job you did on Ghost in the Invisible Bikini last night was, professional grade. I don't know how long it took you to do that and what software you used, but
it was about a week. Well, the week includes the uploading to YouTube and seeing if it clears the copyright issues and stuff like that.
Yeah. See, now you couldn't sell that one because people would want the original songs. Those are copyrighted, but the Captain America one, that's full on public domain, as is the Batman ones because everybody's releasing the Batman stuff.
It's the Batman. I came across. It's not 100% in the public domain, and I'm trying to zero in on the issues. Also, the Phantom.
Yes,
it has a problem. Has a problem in it too, and I'm trying to.
Lee Falk's creation, is that what you're talking about? The King.
Yeah, but they did the Republic serials. It might not have been Republic, but it was a serial.
Republic. It was Republic, I think.
So there might be somebody might have retained the copyright on some of the background music. Because
that's what I think it is. That's what I think it is, and I'm slowly zeroing in on it, and finding something that's public domain that has the same shtick. I mean, just like the Ghost in the Invisible Bikini. I mean, the part where Nancy Sinatra singing. I just found music that's copyright free. I put it in there, and good God, man! I mean, when the camera panned over to the band, you couldn't tell if they were playing, not playing the music.
Exactly. And what I found interesting was that there were like 3 other songs in there, and nobody cared about the copyright on those.
Yeah, it was dead music.
Yeah. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Don't put that song in there. That one is copyrighted heavily by like the evil overlords of Disney. So let's tune in for Captain America. This would be the Captain America who is a disgruntled district attorney, Grant Gardner. Who sees injustice and puts on a mask and calls himself Captain America. Like, Marvel, it's your own character. Well, this is the same Marvel that said, "Oh, we're going to have David Banner in the television show."
I still don't have a fucking clue why. Why?
Because I know why. Because they thought it was the 70s. They thought the name Bruce was too gay.
What?
Dead serious. They thought the name Bruce was too gay.
Oh my God.
So they gave him a more masculine name, David. And now so everyone, that's why he was called David Banner throughout the whole show. And then Marvel, God bless them, they tried so hard to get something to stick. They did the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man television movies. The Captain America I thought the coolest thing about the Captain America television movie was that when he switched that motorcycle to silent, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I know that
But the transparent shield, jeez.
The transparent shield, the hubcaps on the motorcycle, I thought were the biggest special effects.
Yeah.
They're solid. Wow. And then of course they did, the Doctor Strange movie that was unwatchable, the Nick Fury movie, which was unwatchable.
Oh, well, Nick Fury, he did. I mean, come on. What's his name? Hasselhoff really nailed the look. He nailed the look.
He did nail the look.
Yeah.
But and you want to have some. Can you imagine what the Avengers would have been like if they'd have stuck with the TV shows, and because they did a television Thor and they did a television Daredevil, both of which were Incredible Hulk movie length episodes.
Yes.
There's the Trial of the Incredible Hulk and the Incredible Hulk Returns, and and that Thor was like, really? Seriously? Wasn't he like thawed out of a block of ice or something?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, Thor was just, he was a buff guy, but he was still a kind of a thin guy.
Well, they compensated with all that fluffy.
They put fur on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
The furry costume, and then Daredevil had like the mask right over his eyes, and I remember that Stan Lee had told the people, it's like, why has he got a mask over his eyes? They're covering his eyes, and the producer's like, well, he's blind. He doesn't have to see. And Stan's like, but no one's supposed to know that. It's like, and his eyes covered. He can't see. Hey, how come that? That we got a blind lawyer over here who gets around pretty well too. I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah. But come on, guys. We can't not forget Captain America with Frank Langella as the Skull, and the Fantastic Four movie. That's, well, if it wasn't for one key grip or whatever sitting in the studio taking the tape and recording it, we would never have known, because that entire production was going to the trash without us ever knowing.
It was done simply so that Sony could say, yeah, see, we're planning on using it. You can't have the trademark's not going to elapse on it. The contract's not going to elapse on it. My LCS guy back in Belleville, Illinois, Dave Dyer, who's on our show every once in a while. It's been a while. I want to get him back. He has several posters on the inside of the store where the seated area is, and the big screen TV and the couches and stuff. One of them is the Roger Corman Fantastic Four film, and he's got everybody's signature on it right down.
Oh, sweet.
So it's got everybody has signed that thing. He's gone to all. Well, one of Dave's other business ventures is he used to run conventions, and he would have these people come in. So he blew the money on having these actors come. It was called Contamination, and it was all horror and sci-fi stuff. But
I studied that movie ad nauseum. Okay, and with a little bit of editing and some modern day special effects, that would be your pristine, accurate Fantastic Four.
It's still the best of all the Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah. I mean, they got Dr. Doom right, for crying out loud. I mean, holy shit.
And that's not going to happen again.
Let me, if I may interrupt for just a quick moment here, I just want to remind everybody in the chat that, of course, this is open mic night. If you would like to join in the conversation, RJ has the link up top there. If you'd like to join us in here, maybe
up top and down there.
Contribute, or down there. If you'd like to contribute to the conversation, you're more than welcome to come in and contribute to the conversation as well.
Yeah, it's open season. Now it's going to make it a lot harder for me to wrap it up right now. But
well, we're already past the hour mark, RJ. So we probably went longer than you thought.
I've still got a little bit more in the tank. Do y'all remember when DC was putting out that bracket last year? And it's like, hey, we're going to do some books. Which books should they be? You decide.
Yeah, I remember that. In fact, I think you even mentioned that when we were last all together.
Yeah, which was a joke because, they were going to do what they wanted to do anyway.
Well, I think most people in the know, and most of us in the commentary community knew that was just baloney. I think everybody knew that whatever the results was, they were going to put out whatever they wanted to put out. They were going to push whatever they were going to want to push.
Exactly. Well, one of the books they had was JLQ.
Well, they were using Dominion voting system.
They were. But I'm like, why?
Now, YouTube, just a reminder, YouTube, George is in Canada, so
yes,
don't bust us.
Yeah, I won't. Screw them. They're Dominion. They got enough bucks. Don't need mine. They're too busy going after Pillow Guy.
Yeah.
But one of the books they were going to do was JLQ, and I'm like, would they even need to do JLQ today? Because if you look at the Justice League that's out right now, Superman is bisexual. Aquaman, the new Aquaman, is gay. The new Flash is gender fluid. I'm sure.
Wait a minute. The new Aquaman's gay?
Yes.
So that's not a chick whale that's on the cover?
I have no idea, but that's what's going on there. But yeah, the new Aquaman is the previous Aqualad 2, because Garth is always Aqualad. I don't care. I'm sticking with that. Purple-eyed Garth is always primary Aqualad. Yes, James. Being Canadian is always an acceptable excuse for being naughty, because being Canadian, all you have to do is say, sorry. It's
well, because he's not a citizen of the United States, so therefore, for them to censor him would be kind of stupid, because there's a guy from another country talking,
Yeah.
saying that's where I was going with that.
It was a joke, Dominion. Yeah, people. Well, nobody gets jokes these days. Everything is very literal. But yeah, the new Aquaman is gay. I have no idea who he's supposed. Is that supposed to be the next Mira? He's like, it's safe for me to hug you and kiss you because there's no way I'm having sex with you because I'm gay. I don't know. We'll find out what that story's about by some brave soul who will buy it and read it and let people know, which won't be me, because I haven't bought DC in months.
Well, I have to tell you, all this gay stuff, woke comics, gay stuff, LBGTQ and all that stuff. I like it. I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because as someone who publishes his own comic books, one thing you always are aware of is your competition and shelf space.
Yes.
And what I'm looking at is the definitive Bible on how to destroy your business and let your competition thrive.
In the words,
it's glorious. It's glorious.
In the words of the great Sun Tzu, George, when your enemy is making a mistake, do not correct him.
Exactly. That's why I'm not speaking up about any of this. I'm doing my part. I'm going like, and I'm thinking, what the fuck's the matter with all you comic book guys? Just keep your mouth shut.
Okay.
Let it happen.
So here's what we need to do. We need to start some Twitter campaigns and make them look real. Who has Green? We can't say make Green Lantern gay because they've already done that with Alan Scott.
Yeah. And considering he has a very full history of both heterosexual relationships and kids from some of those heterosexual relationships.
Yeah, and he dated Paula the Huntress. He married Paula the Huntress.
Well, I know he dated Harlequin, Molly.
Yes, and who became Mary, Girl of 1,000 Gimmicks.
No,
her?
Unless she was a second one, because the one I remember as being Mary, Girl of 1,000 Gimmicks is actually Mary Pemberton.
That was Sylvester's sister.
Yeah. The Star Spangled Kid sister, right? Sylvester Pembleton's sister, Mary Pembleton, was Mary, the girl of 1,000 gimmicks.
Yeah. Yeah, she did become an ally later, but yeah, she didn't change her name. I'm sorry, I missed that one all up. But we need to start.
Aren't you glad I'm here?
Yes. My buffet of facts. With you on the screen and James Hayes in the chat, I will be kept on a straight and narrow path here. But we need to start petitioning DC to get every other character changed. Plastic Man of all people should be gender fluid because he can change his shape. He can change his shape. He can be a girl in one issue. He can be a guy in another issue. Martian Manhunter.
And Martian Manhunter too, and Mr. Fantastic. He should be. Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah, why we're at this ridiculous?
They did Wolverine. They did Cyclops.
Elongated Man too, Ralph Dibny.
Wonder Woman should be trans. Yes, we should find a man who identifies with Wonder Woman and takes on the identity, just like these guys have been taking on the Captain America identity, and they're just as validly a Captain America over at Marvel.
Yeah, that last comment reminded me of another story that kind of popped up this last week from Bounding into Comics that I actually covered. Did you guys hear that the latest OMAC is trans?
Yes. The one-man Army Corps is a woman, or I don't know. I read the dialogue, and the dialogue was so bad. Like she's saying, that's what she said. Me and she, we're mac and cheese. Cops and protesters. I'm like, I thought the phrase was cops and robbers. And first of all, that means you guys don't get along. You said you were mac and cheese, peanut butter and jelly. Then it would make sense. But Grant Morrison, sorry, that's worst writing he's ever done. Horrible, atrocious writing. More of it, DC. Print more of that. Yes.
Yeah. Don't stop.
Oh, Herrenberg just added something there, James. Or RJ, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep calling you James.
OMAC is a trans man. Yeah, so that's what I meant. It was a female who is becoming a man, and she's the one-man Army Corps. He's the one. OMAC is the one-man Army Corps. I am working on my pronouns, and by working on them, I mean I'm eliminating them entirely from my vocabulary. So I will start calling people by their names in almost every instance without using any gendered pronouns at all. So I'm going to start sounding a lot like Rain Man in my speech because I will just always use a person's name whenever I can.
Speaking always in the third person, you mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I will always say Superman is now this. So when Superman is going here, then Superman will do this thing. And we can expect Superman to act like this whenever Superman... I will never use he. Anytime there's an opportunity to use he, I will use Superman.
Yeah, but here's a problem with that reasoning, though. The name Superman in of itself is a pronoun because...
Got a problem there. Got a problem with that man part.
Yeah, Superman. I mean, he's clearly a man. I'm
sorry, but it's okay because he identifies.
He's clearly a man.
Superman identifies. John Kent identifies as a man.
Superman.
Yes, but OMAC does not, and John Kent may change John Kent's mind sometime. So I must always just say John Kent because I don't want to retroactively misgender John Kent, just in case. Somebody might play this video back and say, "Look how he slandered this fictional character." It's weird.
Oh, so Herrenberg is telling us that
2 days at the Three Rivers.
Just got back from 2 days at Three Rivers Comic Con.
Is that's Three Rivers, Michigan, Herrenberg? Because that is you would have been up in Pops Van Zant's stomping grounds. So it'd be interesting if you guys ran into each other and got one of those Pops Van Zant pins that we made. But yeah, DC, please give us more. Keep doing what you're doing, and don't look at the bottom line. This is more important than dollars. Just go into the red as hard as you can. Go into the paint. with
Going
Me
to
be
the
the one you
go-
call. If you jump, I'll break your fall. If you need to crash and burn, you're not alone.
Yeah, we'll do a trust fall with DC, and we'll all just turn our backs and walk away as they fall.
Oh, like on that one episode of Alice.
Yes, yes, where they all turned around and.
And she just plonk.
Oh well, guys, I don't know what else to talk about now. So, what's on?
Well, I mean, Dean Cain had some interesting things to say as well.
Well, sure, he used to play Superman. They expect that.
Yeah. So he wasn't too keen on the idea of them turning Superman gay either.
Yeah. Now, Grant Morrison's done a lot of good work. Just this Superman and the Authority is not it. His Bulleteer. I have not read the Bulleteer from him. Although I do remember the Seven Soldiers of Victory series he did though, so maybe I do have that one. That was one of those ones where like Batgirl was one of the Seven Soldiers of Victory for some reason. So I've got to check that out.
Well, the original Seven Soldiers of Victory were like Crimson Avenger,
Green Arrow and Speedy.
Yeah, Green Arrow and Speedy, the Star Spangled Kid, and Stripesy, Shining Knight.
Oh, Stripesy didn't count.
Huh?
Stripesy was not one of the 7. He was there, but otherwise you would call him the 8. But Stripesy was always. It's a big thing.
Well, I think he was actually. Let's see. There's Crimson Avenger, Green Arrow and Speedy, Stars and Stripes, and then Shining Knight and Vigilante. Those are the 7. And then I think Wing was counted as the unofficial, quote unquote, 8th Seven Soldier.
Well, on Stargirl, it's exactly the opposite. Wing is counted as one of the 7, and Stripesy is the one who said, "Yeah, I was just a sidekick. I was not considered." Because it was brought up.
Well, Speedy was kind of considered a sidekick too, and yet he was a part of Seven Soldiers of Victory.
Yeah.
So.
If you wore a mask, you got to be one. If you didn't wear the mask, then you weren't. and Stripesy just had on the striped shirt. He was more of a mascot. Stargirl still.
Well, yeah, and in the case of Stars and Stripes, that was the exact opposite. Because, even back in the Golden Age, it was the adult superhero and the kid sidekick. Well, Stars and Stripes, it was the other way around. It was the kid superhero and the adult sidekick.
Yeah, because he was the rich kid, and the other guy was like his bodyguard, his chauffeur kind of deal.
Yeah, bodyguard / chauffeur, exactly.
So he put on the costume to continue protecting his charge there, and then of course later on became Skyman.
Well, that was Sylvester. Yeah, Sylvester went on to become Skyman, and then Pat would eventually build a suit, become Stripe, Stripe, and team with his stepdaughter Courtney Whitmore as Stargirl, who would basically take on the characteristics and powers of both the first. Well, I think it was might have been the 7th or 8th Starman with the cosmic rod, and of course the Star Spangled Kid. She'd take the Star Spangled Kid costume and then Actually, the DCAU had a very interesting episode featuring those characters on the Justice League episode, Patriot Act too. That was a pretty interesting episode.
Oh my god, DC fandom has like the worst webpage ever. But yes, Herwenberg, you're right. There was another Seven Soldiers of Victory, which Batgirl formed. She called it Seven Soldiers of Victory. Was a series that ran. It was Batgirl, Deadman, Metamorpho, Blackhawk, Mento, and 2 other people who I can't read because the Google cache killed it there. And I'm not going to go to the website again because dc.fandom.com is a shit site.
Well, apparently they're having some kind of super party this month because they're in essence taking over Toonami on Saturday nights. Last night here they had
it's Fandom
movie marathon, and next week they're showing a couple more Batman movies as well.
Yeah,
I think they did the same thing
going
last
on right
year
now.
too.
Yeah, because they don't have the money anymore to go to San Diego Comic-Con.
They don't have money for a 4x8 booth. Come on.
No. They're like, we can do this on the internet for free.
Not even a table, a 3 foot by 4 foot table.
Nope. No DC at San Diego Comic-Con, which, you know, if that's not a nail in the coffin, I don't know what is.
Well, New York Comic Con was having its issues recently too, over mask mandates and people apparently not wearing masks and, you know, all that jazz. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that's. There's plenty of good cons out there to go to. Three Rivers Con, where Heroin Burgess went. The smaller cons are going to be the place to go. Go meet your independent guys. We don't care what DC and Marvel are doing anymore, anyways, because they're not going to do anything for the next. They're not going to do anything for the next 5 years that anybody's going to be interested in. If they survive that long.
According to some of the commentators I've heard, like according to like Yellow Flash, and I think even Tug has mentioned this too. Do you give it about 2 or 3 years here? DC and Marvel may not even be around.
Oh no, they'll be around. They'll be a brand. It'll be a brand that they will license out their stuff to people who would actually publish.
Yeah, because I know the argument is that, hey, look, DC's publishing more titles now than it ever has in a long time, and at the same time, the comic book shop guys that run the shops that I look at say, if so, where are they? Because, you know, they're not filling up the unloading table nearly as much as they used to in the past. They've solicited a lot of titles, but they're behind on so many of them, and the others are all miniseries. He's like, you know, Mike Tierney in Little Rock says, we don't have anything in the way of long-term, long-running series where people can get invested and stay invested. You know, when a number one issue means something is when that series gets to 113. Then when you've got number one of it, wow, that's something. If it gets to 6 or 9 and then it's like, yeah, we're going to do it again, those ones are worthless.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, longevity is the key there. I mean, because there are a lot of, like, you know, as I do my This Day in Each History stuff a lot of times every night, you know, you get into the 90s and 90s and closer, basically everything 90s and 90s to the present.
Yeah,
you have a lot of number ones, but very few of them go anywhere, get to double digits.
Right.
There's some that just run 5 issues and that's it. There's some that just run 9 issues and that's it. Very rarely do you get any that even get into double digits. No less 3 digits.
Yeah, because you know, number ones, you know, it's a big sales boost. Everybody orders a number one, but
they want to see.
But the orders for number 2 are like half.
Yeah, I've always I've heard before that the better investment strategy was to buy up number 2 issues of comics, because if it does take off somewhere, number 2 is the one where there's going to be fewer of them around.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like, you know, 1, 2, and then, oh, look, they're actually buying it. Okay, get some more when we buy 3.
Go ahead.
The problem with the comic shops is that the dealers don't know how it's going to sell. They're ordering the 3rd issue of a book before they've even received and started selling the 1st issue of the book. They're ordering it 3 months in advance. Yeah. So they don't really know what it's going to be until they're ordering number 4.
Nice. Well, you know, I don't remember which comic book it was, but there was a guy who just capitalized the number 1 and had an ongoing story, but every issue was number 1.
Oh, jeez.
Every issue, and it would go like, you know, number 1, and then you have the story, and then continued and then he would just give it a completely different name, right?
Yeah.
It continued in so and so number 1 coming out next month, And then you
I've seen some of those type of comics as well. It's like they all seem to be part of one particular brand or whatever. But
no. This guy deliberately he had one ongoing story, but then he would literally go from issue one. Let's say, okay, I'll give you an example. Joe King book one
Yes.
would continue to what called
Black Diamond Effect number 1.
Black Diamond Effect number 1, and we'll continue to Cyber Frog number 1, continue to War Hogs number 1.
And there'd never be a number 2 of any of them.
No, absolutely not. Right? But then when people ask, will you ever get to number 2? He goes, yes, but I have to finish this super, connected story. It's going across all these books, and they literally, people bought, they bought the bullshit. They bought. He literally went for a whole year on number 1s, and then I think he called it quit because he goes, I don't think they're gonna believe me after this.
Oh man, yeah, that's. Anybody tired of Batman yet?
He's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, right?
Yes.
Okay, and he's supposed to be really, really rich.
Yes. Well, he was.
Okay, no.
All his money.
Yeah, whatever. But the point is, he's the world's greatest detective. He could easily solve the crimes without lifting a finger. He's also rich with resources. He could easily create the infrastructure, put more money into the police, and to have less crime in Gotham. So you know what? Here, you got to look this up. I don't know where it is, but there was a I think it was a Reddit post, and the question was, would Batman survive in today's age? And people, and a lot of people said no, he wouldn't. Why? Because one is, you'll be able to find out who he is, right? Quite quickly, right? Facial recognition. They'd be able to track the Batmobile with overhead satellites, right?
Right.
A whole enchilada. The body shape.
Well, I don't
all
know
that stuff.
That though.
They were literally the post. They were literally quoting the real world technology that exists today that is able to track you and discover who you are. So no, Batman would not be able to exist in the modern day world because literally the technology you have on your phone itself and on your hand itself and the orbiting technology. They'll be able to track him down within 24 hours and arrest him.
Yep.
Well, what you also forget, though, is Batman, as he was originally created, is probably one of the world's most resourceful and trained individuals.
But that was then. I'm talking about if he could survive now in current modern world.
As the founder of the Wayne Foundation, he's also into a lot of that technology that you're talking about. He'd already be aware of some of that because he would probably be one of the ones, along with Lex Luthor, who was developing that technology in the first place.
Yeah, but it won't stop him from say the military finding out who he is. Within 24 hours.
Didn't though. It didn't. If you remember, if you had a chance to ever watch the DCAU, right?
Yeah. But we're talking about comic books. We're talking about take the character into the real world. If he created, here's the thing: if he created backdoors, the techs that are in the military and the CIA and all that stuff, they would find those back doors. They would report them to their superiors, and then Wayne himself would be under arrest for any number of crimes.
There was an issue.
I don't think it'd be as easy as them
it would
or
be
you are
fun
making
for the writer to get around. and present the challenges. A good writer would be able to address that. But there was an issue of Suicide Squad early in the series run, predating Harley Quinn. That's how early I'm talking about here.
Oh, you're talking about the original.
The original, well, yeah, the original Suicide Squad series, not the Task Force X stuff that ran in like Our World at War kind of stuff. But there's one where Batman discovers that the Suicide Squad Task Force X exists, and he breaks into Belle Reve prison under the Matches Malone identity, and he basically puts all the pieces together, and then confronts Amanda Waller in front of the Suicide Squad, where they're like locked on. It's like, do we kill him or not? And he's like, I have everything on you. I can ruin you now. And she, just walks up and says, you didn't wear gloves when you were in that cell. Do you really think we couldn't find out who you were if we really put our minds to it? And and she stares him down, and he backs down from it. And he just gives her the folder that he was going to turn over to the public and says, this isn't over. She says, it is for now, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's as simple as it gets, really.
Oh.
Yeah, that's. I watched the Batcave in Google. I watched the Batcave in Google Maps.
Yeah, you actually, we used to have fun at the Air Force Base when we looked at maps of Turkey, because there's an Air Force Base in Turkey called Batman, and it's spelled Batman. I'm like, oh, it's on the map now. This is where it is.
Oh, wow.
If you're looking for him. Anyway, guys, I think it's probably a good time to wrap it up. We've been here an hour and a half.
All right. If we can have just a couple minutes afterwards, RJ, just
yeah. All right, so everybody do check out the links to the mic stand below. Link at me for your channel so people can get over and watch the YT Girl theater.
Can I make one more quick little thing, kind of a reminder for everybody who just came in? Well, guys, as I mentioned earlier, most of you probably weren't in here. My normal co-host for the historical comic retrospect will not be with me on Friday night, so I've asked RJ to join me as my special co-host for the night. So you can catch RJ this Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern on my channel. Mike Walters doing the mic stand with me for the historical comic retrospect. So just wanted to put that out there, and if RJ wants to say anything more about that.
Other than to hit the link below to tune in and get in on that, George, I don't have your link, sir.
It's okay. It's GeorgePeterGatzis.com right there. It's in my face.
Okay.
It's in my face right there. Look right there. Look at my eyes. Look at my eyes right there.
Go to GeorgePeterGatzis.com. Find out everything you need for Joe King, everything that George is doing, and a link. Oh, look at this. Herrenberg took over. Here's the channel.
One more slight little correction though for Herrenberg. The mic stand is one word.
Yes, if you're going to look it up on Google, and you put mic space stand, it won't find it. You'll find a bunch of other crap.
It's one word.
One word. But if you just click the link below, it'll be easy peasy. Yeah, if you just click the link that he's provided there, you'll go straight to it.
Yeah, Herrenberg, I thought you were a professional mod, man. Holy smokes. What the hell's going on here?
What's funny here is that, we're still getting these like long strings here. Mine is just youtube.com/criticalblast. Will always take you right here. And yes, wow, look at this. We got Joe King and other George stuff. Yeah, we got all the links are in the chat. So, Batnofui, I want to see a video about Batnofui. So Mr. Yanafui will have the Batnofui. Yeah, there's an interesting, what was it, Batman Die film? And I can't remember what country made it, but it was a Batman movie. It was just...
Was it Turkish Star Wars?
It might have been like Turkish Star Wars.
Oh, by the way, one of my movies, Italian Star Wars.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm working hard on that one. I'm sorry. I just had to throw it out there. Even in editing, it just cracks me up in the snippets that I see.
So this is like what Star Wars that's been totally refilmed in Italian.
Yeah, it basically. Have you seen Turkish Star Wars?
No,
Oh, you haven't seen Turkish Star Wars?
no, I have not.
Oh my God! Oh, it's glorious. It's fucking glorious. These these guys. They went to the movie theater. They filmed as much as they can with the steady cam or whatever, right? And it's really lousy. And I think it was like 6 scenes out of the entire 2-hour movie. Okay,
Yeah.
and they reused that stuff over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
And just when you think, there's no new clever way of including the same fucking footage, they did. They upped themselves every single time.
The actual name of the film is The Man Who Saves the World.
Yeah.
Let me interject something here. Yes, Harold Bug, I understand. Usually, most people say the word mic stand. It is 2 words. I just made it 1 word. Again, it's another.
And you used a K and an E. Come on.
I mean, it's kind of more of a stylized thing. It's more of the idea of, yes, it's a play on words, usage of my name. We just kind of put the 2 words together as one. So,
Hey, Mike, why did you call your show the Mic Stand?
Because a lot of my focus, George, is more about communication, word usage, a lot of that. I mean, yes, why I do cover like a lot of my underlying reason for streaming a lot of times is for making connections with people. And a lot of that comes through conversations, right? So a lot of my focus is more on communication. I mean, now I had stopped this, but for a while there I was using subtitles, right? So it would be the mic stand and like Monday machinations, Tuesday talks, Wednesday words, Thursday thrive, Friday the Friday night forum. A lot of my MO, as it were, revolves around communication, revolves around conversation, vocabulary, word usage, that kind of thing. That's why I called it the mic stand, because obviously when you use a mic, you don't just use a mic stand for singing, but anytime you use a microphone, you will have to use it, whether that's for singing purposes or for when you're going up and giving a speech, let's say. Or
you studied this in college?
No, this is just how I am. Yeah. Like one of the things most people know about me, and even from talking, if you've talked to me enough, like, okay, one of the things my dad used to have to always remind me of as a kid was that he didn't always have to use, as he would call them, the 29 or the $1 million words. I always had the ability to use vocabulary that was, let's say, beyond my age. I'm autistic, so a lot of my communication is more formal, and I do tend to use more formal language.
Wait a minute. What kind of pencils or pens do you use? What's your drawing instrument?
My writing is, I don't draw because my drawing is bull crap. Okay, but this basically the pen I use right here.
What's that? What's that? Like a number 2?
No, it's just a simple Bic pen. I mean, that's just the type of pens I use.
Are they discontinued in our area? Because I think Papermate's the one that took over.
No. Came from this pack right here. Came from this pack from the local grocery store.
Oh, that's a grocery store purchase?
Yeah.
What was that, like $4.99?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was something. It's just basically this is what I use. I just use regular pens. It's
What was that? Was that like spur of the moment purchase?
I have no idea where this is all going. I'm just along for the
Neither
ride.
do I. I don't know why he thinks that my writing instrument has anything to do with my speaking or conversation skills.
Well, you said you're autistic.
He said autistic.
I'm on the spectrum, George. That's what I meant.
George is using words.
Oh gosh.
George is trying to be funny.
Sorry. I wanted to see how far I can go with this.
We finally asked you and you found out. Job for you, George. When it comes to movies, we have to sit down some night with the YT Girl Theater and watch the Mexican Batwoman film.
Mexican Batwoman. Oh, yes, I will look into that.
Cool. All right, guys, thanks for showing up. It's been interesting. It's always interesting.
RJ, and if we can have
open mic night is fun. Folks in the chat, thank you so much for showing up. We don't have a show unless you come here. So with that, we're going to bid you a fond farewell. We will see you all this week.
And don't forget, RJ is going to be with me on Friday night.
Friday night at 10 o'clock Eastern, I will be with Mike Walters. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be with Adam Lawson going over Kids and Monsters. Tuesday, we'll have Omen Comics. Wednesday, we have a newcomer, an upstart in the community. His name is Jimmy Palmiotti. He's going to be here talking about this Painkiller Jane project he's trying to introduce to people. And then Thursday's still open. You can get your comic in if you rush. And then Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, The Thin Blue Line with some guy named Mike Barron. So, we're going to have some folks here.
Yeah, well, Barron's a hack. Paul Murray, that guy's too noob. He's such a noob.
Someday, though, if he keeps trying, he might make something of himself.
I backed Painkiller Jane project just on pity.
And to answer James, I was not aware the El Santo films were public domain now. For those of you who don't know, El Santo was a legendary luchador, aka professional wrestler and film star in Mexico, basically icon level, in Mexico. He and Mil Mascaras, you could argue, were kind of the like Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan's of Mexico in terms of their popular.
Yeah, Mexico's culture when it comes to wrestling is interesting. I mean, it'd be the equivalent of if you watched WWE wrestling here and then went to the theaters to watch, the Undertaker movie or the Hulk Hogan movie, where they're Hulk Hogan in an adventure. That has nothing to do with the wrestling other than they will wrestle.
Yeah, and Mexico still has what is considered by far currently the oldest active wrestling promotion in the world. With right now, Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre. It started out as Empresa Mundial de Lucha Libre back in 1933. They're still active.
You blow my mind with this shit, Mike. I mean, you're pulling names and dates that I would have to Google and go through the first 5 wrong answers, and you're just like, yeah. Naturally, of course, this guy here back in 1907, he lived across the street from so and so, and they worked together. I was like, how do you keep this straight in your head, man? But God bless you for being on the show and bringing it all out here. It literally blows my mind that you can keep these facts straight. You're like an almanac.
Wait, almond?
Almanac, George. Almanac.
An
It
almond.
means a big book of facts, George.
An almond axe. Yes. Okay. You take some nuts and you sharpen them. Okay. With that bad joke, we are gone. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. And we just hope you had a blast. Good night.
Mm-hmm.